everybody, Rachel here. I'm outside today on my front porch. The neighbor's lilac is right behind us and it smells so incredible this time of year. So I sit out here as much as possible. Well, today I want to talk about your fantasy self and if your fantasy self is preventing you from having a home that you really want. So we all have this fantasy self. It's the one who, we see ourselves having a homestead and doing all those things, all the, having the cows and the chickens and the butchering our own animals and collecting the eggs and growing a massive garden and canning it. That's a big fantasy of mine. I love the idea of homesteading and having animals. Some of us have a fantasy self that entertains a lot, or organizes activities or volunteers or is very crafty. There's so many different fantasy selves. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the things that I had to let go of during my journey because of this fantasy self. So first off, I had cookbooks. I had a lot of cookbooks. I like food. Cookbooks are so appealing. Reading them, looking at the pictures, all of that. The reality was I didn't use the cookbooks. I went to the internet because I wanted to read people's reviews on recipes and what they added to things and what they what they tweaked to make it come out right, and I wanted that. So I would always go search Pinterest because there's reviews on there. There's all recipes has reviews, and that's what I would use. Or I would just want to look at blogs and read recipes and see their pictures. And so I'm down to just the one cookbook now, but I had quite a collection, and I had to let those go because it was just the fantasy me that was going to use those cookbooks. The real me, because I've had them, I had them for years and years, and I never referenced them. Yarn and fabric I got rid of. I had a lot of, I'm crafty, I like doing stuff like that, and the fantasy me would make repurposed clothes for all of my children, and I love that. I could totally geek out on that. The truth is I never make it a priority. There's so many other things that I do, and I don't repurpose stuff. What I have sewn, I've sewn costumes for our Renaissance fair, because we go to that, and that's it. That's all I've sewn in the last at least 10 years. And so I had to let go of that fabric. It was really just sitting in the basement. Why would I have stuff sitting in the basement when someone else can make use of it? And if I really want to get back into quilting or sewing kids' clothes, it's not hard to go to the fabric store and get exactly what I need. So I did keep my sewing machine because I use it, and I kept the tools, and I kept thread. But I let go of all the extra fabric that I had. Same with yarn. The fantasy me wants to sit and watch movies and crochet, and the truth, I don't do it. Even when I had a basket of yarn sitting beside the couch, I would never feel like doing it. Either I would be too interested in the movie, or I just had no desire to. Just not. And old quilts, I collected. Someone gave me quilt tops that some relative had made for them, or they had inherited or something, and these were beautiful hand sewn quilts. All the pieces were sewn together by hand, and they were beautiful, and I respect that so much, all that work that went into that. But hi, Lynn. Yeah, she doesn't want to leave. but that, like, the truth is, I'm never going to finish those quilts. I had quilts that I didn't never finish that I sewed myself. So, hi Jackie. So that was, I had to let those go. I just had to come to terms with it, like, you know what? I'm never going to take care of these. And thankfully in our town we have a group that supports artists, and they take all these supplies that artists can take and repurpose and use how they want. And so I was able to give them there and know that someone would like them and someone would make use of them. Notebooks. I had so many notebooks. I love notebooks. I love paper products. I see them and I see all the possibilities, and I imagine myself sitting outside and journaling and writing like stories and making plans. And hi Allie. Just a second. I ended up letting go of those notebooks. Like, I do have notebooks, and I do, hi Linda, I do keep notebooks and I use them, but I had such a large supply of extras. Those are the ones that I let go of. Like, notebooks are easy to come by. They're very cute. You can find great ones all over the place. And so I had to acknowledge that I don't need to hold on to 10 to 20 notebooks when I only use like one a year, like, or two a year at tops. And I let go of like stationery stuff, you know, what you write letters with. I had beautiful stationery from when I was a teenager, because that's when we wrote, you know, those traditional snail mail letters. And letting go of those things was hard, but I never used them. Since the internet came about and I have been emailing friends, I have not written a snail mail letter. No, I have. It was to my son when he was in boot camp, but that's it. So, let's see. Baking dishes. I had to go through baking dishes, because that's another thing where I had all these ideas of like, I'll make cheesecake from scratch, or like all the things. And I do bake cakes, but it simplified my life when I got rid of all the specialty cake pans and just focused on making good normal cake. And I'm okay with that, and I haven't missed those things. And if you do, like, they're not hard to get back. Like, if you get back into something, it's pretty easy to find them. You can always borrow stuff, because everybody else's cake pans just sit in their cupboard. Clothes. I had to let go of clothes, because there's the fantasy self that wanted to dress up more. There's I had sundresses. I love sundresses. The truth is, I don't wear them because I freeze. I get too cold. If I have to go into a building, the air conditioner is too cold. And so I let go of the sundresses. There was a lot of clothes that I had to let go of, because I'm not going to spend time ironing or dry cleaning or treating any clothes like special. So I had to let those go, because that's just a fantasy that I would, that I would wash something delicately and hang it to dry. I'm not going to do that. I have so many kids. When I wash clothes, I just wash the clothes. I get the job done, and it's not something I enjoy. So I'm not going to put more on myself with that. Makeup. You know, sometimes we buy makeup and it's a great color, it's a great look for us, and the truth is, we never use it for whatever reason. And letting go of that is letting go of a fantasy of that I'm going to use this type of makeup. I'm pretty basic when it comes to makeup, and I don't like the work. Jackie, I've got 6 kids. I have 3 at home. So 3 are grown up and moved out, but so just 3 at home. Gardening supplies was a big one for me, because my fantasy self is to have a homestead, and we have a decent sized yard. And I did have a garden in the back. I planted fruit trees in the back. I love gardening. Yeah, fantasy self is hard to let go. It's very hard to let go of. But when you let go of that, when you come to the truth and you acknowledge it, like, okay, I am not going to use these items, and I can let go of them. There is so much weight that you let go of. Like, there's so much. It's like when you have someone in your life that has seriously high expectations of you, and you carry that around with you all the time. Like, oh my gosh, my parents want me to be a doctor, and like I have to do this. I have to live up to their expectations. That's hard. That is so heavy. And we do the same thing with our fantasy selves. We have these expectations of ourselves, and they're everywhere in our house. So when you allow yourself to come to the truth and let go of them, it's releasing all of those expectations and the weight that goes with them. Somebody asked, I don't remember because I can't see the comments now, but about a tag sale. So I'm not a proponent of garage sales. I dislike having the garage sales myself, just all the work involved. I have had a couple garage sales, and I've hated every part of it. So I think the biggest thing about garage sales is we are in the house and we're decluttering, and we make our decisions like, okay, I'm getting rid of these things, and then we put it in the garage. And when the day finally comes to the garage sale, you have to see all those things again and touch them and decide a price on them. And it's almost as hard as the process of getting rid of them in the first place, because it's still there. Like, you're reminded, like, oh yeah, I have these things. This is really cool, and I spent money on them. And it amplifies all of those feelings. And for me, it really prevented me from decluttering as much as I wanted to, because I would set things aside, and then the whole process of having to price them, having to lay them out, and then having people come in who want them for, like, pretty much nothing compared to what we spent on them. That's all hard. And then at the end, cleaning a garage sale all up and getting rid of the things anyway, it's just dealing with it more. So I prefer to touch it as little as possible. I make the decision. I want it out of the house and out of my life, and not have to see it anymore, and not have to face any of that. So I know there's people that are motivated by selling stuff, and if that's you, I have nothing against it. But if it's that fantasy self that's like holding you to this, like, I should have a garage sale and recoup some of my money, then it's best if you can just let it go. Like, you can write it off on your taxes. You can just accept the fact that it's gone, and you can, the value of your space in your home and your mental well-being is so much more than the effort of putting in a garage sale. And I never made a lot of money with garage sales myself. The bigger things that I tried to sell, I asked my husband to sell a couple pieces of furniture, and we sold whatever it's called, one of those exercise things that you walk on, treadmill. We sold a treadmill once. That was pretty much the only thing that we were able to sell, because people aren't interested in, I had antique type stuff, and I don't know. My style's not for people in Montana, so. Lynn, that's it. It's the fantasy self that keeps at me about recouping the money. Yeah. I have, if it motivates you, then great. But if it doesn't, if it's just going to sit there, yeah. Sorry, Lynn. This week I have for sale my Clutter-busting Charts. I printed one out, and our printer's running out of ink, so it printed it like all orange and weird, but it doesn't come out. It's just like black and gray, typically. But it's 12 different charts with each room in the house, all like everything on a list, so you can go through systematically, focus on each room, check it off, get it done, and it's great. If you've been struggling to find focus and really want to have an impact on your home, then these charts are amazing. And as you know, I love my charts. I love checking things off. It makes me feel so good and so accomplished. So they're on sale this week for just $9.97. You can find them on my site, nourishingminimalism.com. It's on the front page, and that sale is going to end Saturday. So if you want those, you can head over there and check them out. And I'll put a link in the video description when I'm done. But thank you guys so much for joining me. And if you're in the States, I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day. And that's it. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.